Hakann, understand before you argue. My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Hakann speaking. I greet you in peace and love. You probably already know the principle that before you start arguing against someone, or before giving someone unsolicited advice, it's good to first fully understand their perspective. So if someone is doing, or advocating for something, that just seems completely illogical to you, then it's good to try and understand their perspective better. After all, while obviously some perspectives aren't very useful or accurate, usually there's at least some kind of logic, or some valid desire, or some kernel of truth behind a perspective that other people hold. And if you can't find a way to take that other person's kernel of truth, or that desire on board, then it won't be helpful to just think of their perspective as evil or stupid, and to try to steamroll them in a debate. Even if you win the debate, you will have probably hardened the position of the other person, and increased division. What's not helpful to do, yet what happens unfortunately often, is to stereotype the other person's position into an easy-to-attack strawman, and then to attack that. Or to label the person themselves negatively, as for example a fascist or communist, attacking the person rather than the argument. Okay, so what's better is to first understand their perspective, and to have a nuanced view of the advantages and disadvantages of their perspective, and of your perspective. After all, it's rarely the case that your perspective is 100% perfect, and the other person's perspective is completely wrong. I think you probably knew all of this already, at least on some level. Now I would like to add something that may be new information. Ideally, before you argue with someone or give them unsolicited advice, you don't just try to understand their perspective in a nuanced and fair way. You also try to understand what life has been like for them, and how that could perhaps have shaped their views. And you try to understand how your own views have been shaped by the life and experiences you have had. If you don't know the other person, you could share briefly how your life has been, and how that has contributed to you having the views you currently hold. And you can ask them how their life has been, and how that could perhaps have contributed to the views they currently hold, in their view. After all, many people like to think that they simply hold the objectively correct view and others are wrong. And certainly, people are different, people have different souls and missions here on Earth, etc. Yet, it's certainly also true that the life you have had has significantly impacted the views you currently hold. In fact, if you think a certain person is wrong, well, it's possible that if you had led their life, then you would now have their worldview. That's not always the case, but it certainly can be the case. Because of that, it's useful to understand the broad outlines of how a person's life has been, before you start arguing against their position, or giving them unsolicited advice. If you understand their life, you might also learn if there have been any events that have been so impactful in their life that just arguing directly against their viewpoint will never convince them. But once you understand them, perhaps you can offer them alternative ways of meeting their needs, or perhaps you can suggest alternative ways to construct a society in which people do get their needs met. For example, suppose someone grew up in crippling poverty, and has certain very specific, very strong political opinions as a result. Then if you learn this, you may realize that this person will never agree to any way of structuring society in which the poor aren't helped, and indeed, wanting to help the poor is a noble desire. But in this case, perhaps you can have a productive discussion about what the most effective ways are of building a society in which everyone can have a good life, because there are several options here. And if, for example, you grew up in a well-off family, and don't have everyone should be able to have a good life as a priority in your own mental construct of what an ideal society would be like, well, maybe you can reflect that if you had grown up in crippling poverty yourself, perhaps you would have different, or at least slightly different opinions today. The previous example discussed a situation where someone's suffering was real, but perhaps their proposed societal solution wasn't optimal. Or perhaps it was. What can also be the case is that someone's suffering is real, but they misidentified the cause of their suffering. In the best case, You might be able to change someone's mind here, or at least plant seeds that will someday change someone's mind, but you can't make that argument without acknowledging that yes, they did have a very tough time. Because that is real. Obviously, these are just examples to illustrate how useful it can be to understand another person's life in broad strokes before you try to argue against them or give them unsolicited advice. Sharing the broad outlines of your lives can also help create empathy and dismantle stereotypes. Now, it's possible that the other person will say that yes, indeed, your views were shaped by the life you have had so far, but that they hold their own views because they're smart and good people and have decided to adopt the one ideology that is true and virtuous. In this case, it may be best to just not have an argument with them. It's also possible that the other person will demand understanding and empathy, but will not be willing to give you understanding or empathy. In this case, it may be best to just not have an argument with them. Even if you win the argument, the world probably will not be a better place afterwards, because you will only have hardened them in their position. Unfortunately, productive arguments are rare, and sometimes the only winning move is to not have an argument at all. As Cox said recently, Earth people are love-starved. So instead of arguing with them, you could also just listen to them and express love to them. If someone is unreasonable, showing them love can be very effective, if you have it in you. Or you can of course just take a walk in nature with the other person, or by yourself, or you can meditate, etc. I hope this helps. I love and deeply respect you, and I hope to physically meet some of you later this year. It's not guaranteed, it depends on the free will choices that Earth humans make, but it is likely. Your star brother, Hakann. One who serves and Shoshanna, relocating. Master OWS. Om Mani Padmam Maram Mani Padmam Maram. Master OWS. Greetings to you, one who serves here and Shoshanna is here, and we are ready to assist you in any way that we can with your questions, if you have them. Member. Yes, I have a question. Master OWS. Yes. Member. About a week ago, I was told that I had to move out, after living in this place for about 3 years with my 30-foot travel trailer. And I had to move out right away. It was real sudden. But the same day I found a place way out in the country, about 25 miles out in the hills, very quiet and secluded, and very peaceful, and then yesterday after the end here for a few days, I was taking a nap at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Master OWS. Hold please, we have interference here that is occurring here in this home at this point. We need to hold this off here. We will return momentarily after this interference. The doorbell rang here, as we find it. Door visitor is dealt with. James. Sorry about that, everybody, life goes on, right? Okay, the person that was here to do the restoration, or that's been here to do the restoration, that we talked about earlier, just came today to see how things were going, I guess. JoAnna. We told them not to come. James. Yeah, we told them not to come to Monday, but oh well. Give me a moment and let's get back into it. Om Mani Padmam Maram Mani Padmam Maram. Master OWS. Greetings to you once again, apologize for the interference, and this continuation here, but we are back. And we are ready for you questions, if you have that now. Member. Yes, I was saying that I had to move out to the country real fast, and I'm now in a very secluded quiet place, and the continuing saga of me coming face to face with my galactic family. Yesterday afternoon I was taking a nap, and all of a sudden the radio came on inside the trailer, and the only way that happens is if you push the button and push the power on. And so my galactic family was knocking on my door the last few times. And now apparently they're inside and turning on my radio. And it seems like things are quickening, also happening faster with this whole thing. Do you have any comments on that? Master OWS. Do you have a question here on this? Member. Well, I just wanted to know what the message was. The last few times they were knocking on the outside of my door, now they're inside and turning on my radio, and I'm wondering, is that part of the next phase? Is my question pretty much. Master OWS. We would say that you have already answered your question here. Have you not? Outside, first, inside now, closer and closer. What more would you need to understand that everything is coming closer and closer here? Not only for you that is asking this question, but for all that are part of this group, the ancient awakenings, as well as those that resonate to these words when they reach them or hear them after. It is happening more and more, and will continue to happen. We have called them at times the glimpses into the other dimensional frequencies. And yet the idea that these dimensions are closer and closer together, in other words, you in your third dimensional matrix, which is indeed falling apart, collapsing all around you, it is just happening with what would be considered slowly on your end of things, but quite rapidly from where we see things here. For what could have occurred over many lifetimes here is happening even indeed in just a few decades, as we are finding here, and will increase dramatically in the next weeks and months to come here. That is all we can tell you about this now. Shoshanna, do you have anything else? Master Shoshanna. We will share here. May we share, dear brother? Member? Oh, yes, please, please. Master Shoshanna. Dear brother, this is interesting to us because what we find is that the previous area that you occupied was busy. Is that correct? Member? Yes, very, very busy. Master Shoshanna. Yes, it was busy, and that we find that the miasma created, and the vibration created in that area would not be conducive, would not be a match to your next level, you see. So, even though it was quick, it was a bit of a shock, you were pushed out to go to the next level, to go to the next phase, you see. So you are now in an isolated area, as we find it. And it is almost as if you have been isolated from all the others, and it is almost as if there is no one around now, and that it is so quiet. It is such a change, is that right? What we find, dear brother, is that this will take some getting used to, you see, but this is conducive to connection. So, we find that you may have already been doing this, we see it, but we will suggest it, that you take the comfortable chair that you have, and sit outside, at night, and gaze upon the stars. Every night you do this now, every night engage with those that are above you and call to them, and let them know, dear brother, that you are now by yourself, that there is not others that could possibly interfere with this connection, you see, as we find it. So, please continue, but call to them, and they will come. Member? They already turned my way. Master Shoshanna. Yes, and as far as we understand, that is another wake-up call, you see. So, the radio, of long ago, woke the individual up. Is that not correct, with an alarm, or something? Member? Yeah. Master Shoshanna. So it is now familiar that should jar you awake, but your next move, dear brother, is to gaze upon the stars at night, and be patient, and call to them. And you will begin to have momentous occasions, so many that are coming. Namaste. Member? Great, thank you very much. Master OWS. And we add here, according to the meditation that Sananda gave here in terms of the miasma, the interference. Think about this in your daily lives just as Shoshanna has given here. Find those places where there is not all of that miasma, there is not all of that interference. Whether it be outside your home in nature, or if you can find a secluded place within your home, whatever it might be, and find that place where you can be free of the thought patterns that bombard you in your daily lives. And you will find, if you do this more and more, that you will attract those that are ready to help you awaken even further here, become even more of who you came here to be, and bring those remembrances to you. That is what we say here. Would there be other questions here now? Member? Thank you. Member? Hi everyone. Master OWS. Yes. Member? This might be a little strange, but this one thing, Do we all live in a simulation? And how do you define reality? Master OWS. My goodness, what a question. That would take hours and hours and hours to help to understand here. Were you in a simulation? You are in a simulation, if you are believing you are in one. Think about the third-dimensional matrix that you are in. Is that a simulation? Is that reality? Or is it something? It is a reality, you might say, of all of the consciousnesses coming together to create what is there. So in that sense, yes, it would be a simulation. But you are mostly seeming to refer to, is there a one being that is creating this entire simulation? If you think about it in that respect, then that would be a negative. There is not a one being creating this entire reality or simulation or illusion that you are in right now. It is all of the collective coming together to create all of this. That is how we will answer this. Shoshanna, do you have anything to add here? Master Shoshanna. Well, we would like to share here, dear brother, by asking a question. May we ask you a question, dear brother? Member? Of course. Master Shoshanna. Dear brother, what is a simulation to you? What is your definition? Member? The Matrix. Master Shoshanna. The movie? Member? Yes. Master Shoshanna. And do you believe you are in a simulation? Member? I believe we are getting to the point where we are going to find out that we are, but exactly what I am not sure. Master Shoshanna. We will say this, and this is perhaps for many that did not grow up with technology. This may be a difficult thing to understand. All is created, everything is created. What will come more and more and more to the foreground is not knowing the difference between what is real in your vernacular and what is not real. You will not know. It will all be seamless, you see. When these things like virtual reality goggles or whatever they are that have come into existence and become more and more and more, hold on, quote, real for those using them, that are using a simulation by putting on whatever this is on their heads and seeing something different in the room that is created, you see. Someone created that. It was a collaboration. There were many that created this thing called virtual reality or artificial intelligence. We call it advanced intelligence. And when the individual, you can take a small trial, put a virtual reality helmet, or whatever it is on them, and they see something different in the room, they do not make the distinction. Is that real, or is the room real, you see? What we are headed for, what we are rolling for is a merging of what you think is real, and what you think is not real. And the reason this is happening is to wake up the idea that all is created, that you are the creator, that your neighbor is the creator, that your relatives are the creators, that everyone is collaborating on the reality that they are living. Which may look like a simulation. The thing that you call the Matrix was created, it was evolved into something different than the world that these creatures once knew, you see, or these humans once knew. So all is simulated in terms of creating the reality, Nam asked. Master OWS. And we would add here in terms of the movie The Matrix, if you would watch it again now with the understandings that you have at this point, you will understand that it is not simply an entertainment movie. It was indeed, you could look at it in this way, a documentary that was created to raise the reality of the illusion that you are in at this point. Master Shoshanna. To shine a light. Master OWS. Yes, to shine a light. Very good, we are ready for another question, if there is one. Member? Thank you. Master Shoshanna. Yes. Master OWS. Any further questions? Member? Yes, I have a question. Master OWS. Yes. Member? I've been seeing a lot of this kind of random question, but I've been seeing a lot of videos all over the place. And of course, on Instagram or whatever, the more videos you look on a certain subject, the more they send you. That's probably why. But I see a lot of videos where people are experimenting and doing weird stuff with mirrors. So I think maybe a lot of people in the call, there's been videos where people have opened portals by just with facing two mirrors at each other. I've also seen pretty weird stuff as people filming their own reflection in a mirror, and the reflection is doing something different than the person. So my question is there anything going on with mirrors that we should know about? Is there something about mirrors that actually is a portal into 4D, or into some other, platform of existence, I guess? But I'm just curious because I've seen so many strange videos about people doing these weird experiments with mirrors, opening portals, and such. I'm just really wondering what's going on there. If anything. Master OWS. We would say that when the consciousness reaches a certain point, what you are speaking about here is indeed accurate. In terms of when the mind is ready to accept what is possible beyond the limitations of physics and all of the programming that you have had, then these so-called portals or gateways can certainly open and bring about to those glimpses that we have been speaking of for years now, as we find it with this group. So what you are experiencing is the evolution of man's consciousness moving in direction where they can see on what is beyond the so-called physical and look more into the metaphysical realm. So that is what we would say here, that you are indeed in the right track here, and the fact that you are witnessing this is that you are becoming ready for more and more of this type of understanding. And we would add here, remembrance. Member? Absolutely. Master Shoshanna. We would like to share, maybe we share, dear brother. Member? Of course you can, dear sister. Master Shoshanna. Dear brother, we find that more than a century ago, maybe a century and a half, this was a common practice. We would like you to explore this history, you see, because this was a common practice before people sat around in the evening and listened to the radio, before the TV was invented. Mirrors were entertainment. Mirrors were glued to paintings. You see, we will tell you that a mirror is a reverberation instrument. It reverberates. It soaks in vibration, and it reverberates the vibration back out. You can place a painting from a famous artist, or any artist in front of a mirror and look in the mirror, and you will see the painting change before your very eyes. Because all of the frequencies and vibrations that were used by the human to place the colors and the figures and the scenery into the painting is alive. It is alive with the vibration and frequency of the human. Whether the human being, whether the entity is dead or alive, those vibrations and frequencies are in the painting. And the mirror reverberates some of those, all of those, so that you would see something different. It is exciting, you see. But the reason this has not been common in the modern era is the religions of the world, especially the Christian religions of the world, knew that the depths of knowledge and understanding that would be revealed through mirroring, through reverberation, was not going to be allowed, so what they did is they told stories of evil. That the mirror contained evil, and that it would cast an evil figure toward you. This is not true. This is a way for religion to control you, you see. We will tell you that if an individual is evil, and that individual casts its face in the mirror, the vibration and frequency of evil will be magnified. If an individual is a pure entity, a loving entity, the mirror will cast that as well, and reverberate that back. You see. And as far as portals, yes, we know instances where the mirror, the reverberation, and the frequency allowed the individual to step through the mirror into another reality. And we believe that some of your movies or entertainment have demonstrated that idea. That idea is real. That idea is true, you see. So we would say that the reason this has been brought to you, and yes, we know that artificial intelligence magnifies your interest, the reason that your idea is seated here is for you to explore it, you see, and use it yourself. So try it. Take your most prized possession, place it in front of the mirror and look into the mirror, and see how it changes. Take a painting that you love. We find that you don't have paintings, but if you did. Member? I am my most prized possession, so my quick follow-up question is, what happens because I've done this before? If I just stare in the mirror, and just stare at my eyes, what happened to me before it? When I've done that as I see, My face starts to change very quickly into all different selves. Master Shoshanna. Yes, you will see other lifetimes. Member? Okay, cool. That's what I was. My question was, am I cycling through other versions of myself? There's quite a few of them, I might add. Master Shoshanna. Fun. And we will once again ask you to investigate history, when mirroring was common, when it was used as entertainment, when it was used as exploration. This was not so long ago. So this is not. Member. I'm sorry to cut you off there. I was just wondering. Is that Tartaria? Would that have been the Tartarian society? So I just know where I'm looking, and researching. Master Shoshanna. It is possible, but this is we find in Western culture. We find this in your European culture, that this was a common practice. We find this in your 17 and 1800s. We find this happening. We find this recent, yes, and then follow through, dear brother, because we are finding that this line of investigation will lead you to even more opportunity to jump timelines and to enjoy yourself. Member? Perfect. Thank you so much, Nam asked. Master OWS. Very good. And we need to release channel here. Unless there is one more question. We take one more of this. Then we release channel. Member? I have a related question. Is it okay to have a mirror face a window? I just happened to read that about the show. Master OWS. We do not understand you. Will you please take your device off speaker? Member? No, actually, now it's on. Is that better? Master OWS. Yes. Member? Thanks. Is it okay to have a mirror face a window? I heard that recently that is not, according to some principles. Master Shoshanna. We will share here. May we share, dear sister? Member? Yes, please, thanks. Master OWS. This will depend upon what is outside the window, because what happens in mirroring is the absorption of frequency and vibration. So if your mirror is facing a window that has scenery or has activity that is not conducive to your peace, to your pleasantries, to your feeling of calmness, then we suggest that you do not. If your mirror is facing a window that behind the window is a forest or something beautiful, that will also reverberate into your room. So that would depend, you see. Does this make sense to your sister? Member? Yes, that makes a lot more sense to me, thank you very much. Master Shoshanna. Namaste. Master OWS. We are done for the time. Shoshanna, do you have a parting message? Master Shoshanna. Our messages: keep exploring, keep moving forward, keep enjoying, be in joy. There is so much to have fun with, Nam asked. Master OWS. Yes, and then we just say, as been said a few times now, and will continue to be said, just understand that everything is connected. Shanti, peace be with you, be the one. Source: arrayofflight.com. The other videos are in the English video playlist. Help me spread the light, click like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.